Welcome to Creepy Corner Stories, where the shadows whisper and nightmares come to life. Tonight, we take you beyond the classroom, beyond the textbooks, into the cold, forgotten corridors of haunted school hostels. Places meant for learning and laughter, now echo with cries, whispers, and footsteps that don't belong. From cursed dorm rooms to spirits of students who never checked out, these hostels hide more than just memories. They hold secrets buried deep in silence, and pain that lingers long after midnight. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and keep your ears open, because what you're about to hear might just follow you back to your own bed tonight. This is Creepy Corner Stories. Every school has that one story, the one whispered behind closed doors, the one older students warn newcomers about. At St. Elias Boarding School, that story was room 313. The hostel was a massive, three-story building, old, creaky, and always just a little too cold. The third floor had been locked off for years, ever since a student named Anaya died under mysterious circumstances. They said she fell from the window of room 313, but no one could ever explain why her hands were scratched and bloodied, like she had tried to claw her way back in. Most students laughed it off. Until Nidhi arrived. She was new, transferred mid-year. The hostel was overcrowded, and the only room left was, you guessed it, room 313. The warden swore the rumors were nonsense, and with a tight smile, handed her the rusted key. That night, Nidhi settled into the dusty, untouched room. She was exhausted, but as the lights went out, the room changed. The air grew heavier. Cold crept through the walls. And then, the knocking began. Soft at first. From the inside of the closet. She laughed nervously and opened it. Nothing. Just darkness and the smell of mildew. She shut it, turned to lie down. Knock. 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 Again. This time, from under her bed. She froze. Heart pounding. Every instinct told her not to look. But she did. And what she saw, was a pair of bloodied hands, reaching out, the nails cracked and skin torn, exactly like the ones they said Anaya had. Nidhi screamed, bolted for the door, but it wouldn't open. The key was gone. The knocking turned to banging. And then, the whispering began. She never left, she never left, she never left. The next morning, the room was empty. No sign of Nidhi. Just deep claw marks on the floor, and a message scratched into the wall. One more for 313. There's a rule in the hostel of St. Mary's Convent School. No one leaves their room after the 10 p.m. bell. Not for the bathroom. Not for water. Not even if you hear someone calling your name. The seniors say it started years ago, when a girl named Ria played a dare game during a power cut. She went down to the old, disused auditorium, but she never came back. Now, every night at 10 p.m., the bell rings once. But sometimes, it rings twice. That means she's looking for someone to join her. Anvi, a first-year student, thought it was all nonsense. Until one night, the bell rang at 10, and then again at 10:03. Dong. Dong. She sat up in bed, confused. Then she heard it. A voice outside her door, soft and sweet. Anvi, come outside, it's okay, just for a minute. It sounded like her best friend, Meher. Anvi got up and opened the door. The hallway was pitch black. Silent. She turned around, and froze. Meher was still in bed, fast asleep. Then the voice came again, this time from the end of the hall. Anvi, you opened the door. Suddenly, the light at the end of the corridor flickered. And standing under it, was a girl in a torn school uniform. Her head was tilted, eyes black and hollow, and her mouth, stitched shut with red thread. She began walking toward Anvi, slowly, dragging something behind her. Anvi tried to slam the door, but it wouldn't budge. The girl reached her. Whispers filled the air. Envy dropped to the floor, covering her ears, screaming, until everything went black. In the morning, the door was still stuck. When the warden finally forced it open, Envy was gone. All that remained was a piece of string, red, threaded through the door handle. Since that night, the 10 p.m. bell sometimes rings 3 times. And when it does, another name disappears from the hostel register. When Nikhil got accepted into the elite Hillview boarding school, he was thrilled. His parents were proud. It was his big chance. The school was isolated, up in the hills, surrounded by thick forests. The hostel looked like an old colonial mansion, with long hallways, faded portraits, and that constant, faint smell of damp wood. He was assigned room 204. The warden said he had a roommate, Kabir. "Quiet boy," she muttered. "Keeps to himself." When Nikhil entered the room, Kabir was already there. Sitting on the bed, back turned, staring at the window. Nikhil said hello. Kabir didn't respond. All night, Kabir just sat there, motionless. Nikhil felt uneasy but blamed it on nerves. New place, new people. But every night, it was the same. Kabir never ate, never slept, never moved, just stared outside, as if watching something only he could see. Then the dream started. Nikhil would wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, unable to breathe, like someone was sitting on his chest. He'd see shadows crawling on the ceiling. Hear Kabir whispering in a language he didn't understand. One night, he finally asked the warden. "Is Kabir okay?" She blinked at him. "Who?" "Kabir. My roommate." She frowned. "You were assigned to room 204. Alone." Kabir was the last boy who stayed there, She paused. "He died last year. Jumped from the window. No one's used the room since." Nikhil's blood turned to ice. "But I see him. Every night." They rushed to room 204. Opened the door. Empty. But the window was wide open. And on the wall above the bed, freshly written in red. "He's watching now, from your side." Nikhil was moved to a different room. But sometimes, just sometimes, he swears he sees a reflection in the window at night. A boy, back turned, watching. Waiting. There was a wing in the boys' hostel of Greenfield High that had been shut for decades. Rusty chains wrapped around the door. A heavy lock. A sign in faded red letters. "Do not enter, for your own safety." Naturally, students were curious. They joked it was a torture room or a storage area for dead bodies. But no one really dared to go near it, except for Aryan and his 2 friends. It was their last year. They wanted one final thrill before graduating. So one stormy night, they picked the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow hallway, dusty, dark, and unnaturally cold. Old beds lined the corridor, covered in sheets. It looked like someone left in a hurry, decades ago. Then they found the journal. It belonged to a boy named Dev. His last entry read, "They come at 3:03 a.m. First, you hear breathing. Then the dragging. If you see them, don't run. They like it when you run." Aryan laughed it off. Just an old prank. They explored the rooms, filming with their phones, until a loud bang echoed down the hallway. Something had slammed the door shut. The air changed. Their lights flickered. Then, they heard it. Breathing. Right behind them. They turned. No one. Then, dragging footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. One friend screamed and ran. The other followed. But Aryan froze. That's when he saw it. A tall figure, face wrapped in cloth, stitched shut, fingers too long, reaching for him, asterisk. Everything went black. When Arian woke up, it was morning. He was lying outside the locked wing. Alone. The warden found him and dragged him to the office. Furious. How did you get in there? That place is cursed. Everyone who enters, disappears. Arian tried to explain. My friends, they were with me. Kabir and Sid. The warden stared at him. Who? Arian, you came here alone. You've always been alone. Arian's hands trembled. He opened his phone. All the photos, the videos, gone. No record of them. Not even their contacts. But that night, at 3:03 a.m., Arian heard breathing again. And this time, it was right behind his bed. There was a wing in the boys' hostel of Greenfield High that had been shut for decades. Rusty chains wrapped around the door. A heavy lock. A sign in faded red letters. Do not enter, for your own safety. Naturally, students were curious. They joked it was a torture room or a storage area for dead bodies. But no one really dared to go near it, except for Arian and his two friends. It was their last year. They wanted one final thrill before graduating. So one stormy night, they picked the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow hallway, dusty, dark, and unnaturally cold. Old beds lined the corridor, covered in sheets. It looked like someone left in a hurry, decades ago. Then they found the journal. It belonged to a boy named Dev. His last entry read. They come at 3:03 a.m. First, you hear breathing. Then the dragging. If you see them, don't run. They like it when you run. Arian laughed it off. Just an old prank. They explored the rooms, filming with their phones, until a loud bang echoed down the hallway. Something had slammed the door shut. The air changed. Their lights flickered. Then, they heard it. Breathing. Right behind them. They turned. No one. Then, dragging footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. One friend screamed and ran. The other followed. But Arian froze. That's when he saw it. A tall figure, face wrapped in cloth, stitched shut, fingers too long, reaching for him, asterisk. Everything went black. When Arian woke up, it was morning. He was lying outside the locked wing. Alone. The warden found him and dragged him to the office. Furious. How did you get in there? That place is cursed. Everyone who enters, disappears. Arian tried to explain. My friends, they were with me. Kabir and Sid. The warden stared at him. Who? Arian, you came here alone. You've always been alone. Arian's hands trembled. He opened his phone. All the photos, the videos, gone. No record of them. Not even their contacts. But that night, at 3:03 a.m., Arian heard breathing again. And this time, it was right behind his bed. Everyone at Redwood Residential School knew one thing about Room 108. Never look into the mirror after midnight. It wasn't a normal mirror. The frame was old, blackened with age, carved with strange symbols no one could read. It had been there for decades, no one remembered who brought it, or why it couldn't be removed. When Anya transferred midterm, she was placed in 108. They told her the story, of course. Every hostel has those tales. She laughed it off. Until her third night. She couldn't sleep. The wind was howling, and the mirror's reflection kept catching her eye. Just enough to be distracting. Just enough to tempt her. The clock ticked past 12:03 a.m. She got up. Walked toward it. And stared. At first, it was her reflection. Pale, tired. Then, it blinked. But she didn't. Anya stepped back. Her reflection smiled. That's when it began. All week, her reflection kept changing, subtle things. A tear rolling down her cheek when she wasn't crying. Her reflection turning its head slightly when she didn't move. By Friday, she stopped looking entirely. Covered it with a bedsheet. But the next morning, the sheet was on the floor. And smeared across the glass, written in fog. I'm almost out. Terrified, she told the warden. The mirror was finally removed. They stored it in the basement. But Anya kept changing. Her eyes lost life. Her voice grew distant. She spoke less and less, until she stopped speaking altogether. Then one night, she vanished. Her bed was empty. But in the basement, the mirror was uncovered again. And if you looked closely, you could see her inside it. Screaming silently. At Silvercrest School, every new student is added to the attendance register by hand. Tradition. One night, the hostel warden, Mr. Ghosh, was updating the register in his office when he noticed something strange. There was a name already written at the bottom of the new student list. Ritvik Sharma, room 106. He didn't remember writing it. No admission record. No photo. But there it was, in messy, rushed handwriting, definitely not his own. He assumed it was a prank. Until the next day, one of the boys, Arjun, came to him, pale and shaking. Sir, my roommate, he came back last night. Which roommate? Ritvik. He said he's been gone a while. But I saw him. He was sleeping in the top bunk. The warden didn't believe him. But then another boy mentioned Ritvik. And another. And soon, everyone in the dorm remembered him. The quiet one. The guy who barely spoke. The one who always wore a hoodie and kept his head down. They remembered his voice. His laugh. Even what he smelled like. But when they checked room 106, no belongings. No uniform. No toothbrush. Nothing. Just an empty bed. The strangest thing. When they flipped through old yearbooks, Ritvik was in them. Group photos. Class pictures. But always blurry. Always slightly, out of focus. Like the camera didn't know what to capture. Then one night, Arjun screamed in his sleep. Said Ritvik had climbed into his bed, whispered in his ear. I'm not supposed to be here. But they wrote me down, so now I can stay. The warden tore out the page from the register. Burned it. The next morning, no one remembered Ritvik. Not a single student. Not Arjun. Not the teachers. But in the ashes of the register, one name wouldn't burn. Ritvik Sharma. Still there. Still waiting. If that story gave you chills, imagine what's coming next. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Creepy Corner Stories, where the shadows never sleep. Hit the bell icon, or the next story might come looking for you.